Indeed, this is episode 371 of GI Joburg. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Paulie. Hey, Paul.
Hey, everybody.
And
And
Rob.
who else is joining us? And there's the
Yeah, it's
guy.
me. I've
There's
joined
our
you guys
guy.
again. Oh my goodness.
Oh my word.
Every week we're all here. It's fantastic. How do we do it?
Madness.
And we've been
Skip.
giving a lot of airtime to the year 1985, but it is the 40th anniversary
What?
of 1985
24th?
all year round. Can you believe it? 2025, 40
The
years.
whole
The
year.
entire year is
The
a
entire
celebration. So of course we
We're
had
not going to talk about anything else, basically.
No, not at all.
But this is the episode most of us have been waiting for because this is the big boy. This is the crowd pleaser. This is toy history. This is the USS Flagg, baby.
Wow.
And maybe
friends.
some battle stations, just to be fair.
Just a few. We've left a few things undiscussed at this point, and a lot of them are things that we as GI Joburg collectively don't have much context for.
Yeah.
Because
Accessory
they are
pack
the
3? I don't own that.
They're smaller, they're less likely to attract attention. They're subtle, but 1985 was such a year that, like, because of the line's success, we got stuff like the weapon transport. Like, an absolute stocking filler, but I'm grateful it exists.
For sure.
Well, it's cool if you got another big ticket item from 85. I feel like
This is
that goes-
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a lot more sense when you're rolling it around a aircraft carrier deck. I have a nice thing to say about it, though, and something that I only discovered on closer inspection. See the little tow vehicle, right? Or the trailer. It's got a hitch
No way.
at the end of it. And that is the same hitch that the vehicle has. So, assuming you bought multiple sets, you could daisy chain them together to make this like caravan or train, road train.
Little ducklings, little bombings following the mother bomb.
Yeah.
Man, why didn't they do that as a separate thing? That would have been kind of cool.
You don't want to overstay its welcome. This is a very niche thing. I do wish it had more than one included in the box, though, just to show off that feature better. Okay, but another thing that I love about it, how cool is that like caution stripe sticker? That's a lovely, lovely touch.
It's fantastic. And
it blends so well into the red. I didn't see it for a second.
Oh, shut your face. Yeah, there are much better pictures. But
there we go.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sticker.
It adds a very nice detail to the toy overall. But so the munition it comes with that's non-specific, isn't it? I mean that's not a bomb that comes with any specific other vehicle, is it? It's just here's a little bomb. I'm just carrying this bomb around that belongs to nothing that we actually operate.
Yeah, here comes the criticism. This thing would be infinitely improved if the cart was designed with a specific like GI Joe piece of ordnance in mind. Like, if this thing could carry a Sky Striker missile, or 5, and I know you could probably fit them in that cradle, but it's not specifically designed for it.
Nicely, or if you made it more generic, like it's like almost like a basket.
Yeah,
but then I suppose it doesn't. I mean, you wouldn't really carry ordnance around in baskets and have it kind of like waving around back there. But if it was less
Home Depot, baby.
It's just a shame that something so like specific, like designed specifically to interact with one toy, wasn't. They didn't stick the landing. Like it's a
little bit extra so that it links into something that came out this year or the year before. Because
I mean, for use with the USS Flagg.
Yeah, exactly. We've said that this is an additional line, like it complements the years that came before.
Sure.
It adds on, but this it exists as an add-on.
I think Hasbro secretly released GI Joe's most dangerous weapon in that set. I mean, for all we know, that little bomb is a tactical nuke or something.
Can be.
And just
I think of unexploded ordnance. Like this is a perfect like IED. You got this thing in the
Yeah.
back of the station wagon, covered up with some blankets.
This is something that I don't know.
Steve just got himself on a watch list.
Who would who? I
Guys,
mean,
we're all YouTube.
true. But I mean, they picture it with the barbecue up there.
Blowtorch.
But it would have been blowtorch. Would have been more
Not
appropriate to have
barbecue.
someone who works with the explosive ordnance. I mean, what's his name?
I think,
Wait.
if I'm not mistaken, I think his secondary specialty is armorer. If I'm not very mistaken, blowtorch. Yeah, he's got
If it
uses
is,
around.
that's pretty smart that they actually did put him on the packaging.
Hey, well, we're on 3D Joe's right now. We can do this.
We can do the thing. We can see the card.
We can see the card right now. Where is he? Blowtorch. Sure.
There it is.
His secondary military specialty is small arms armorer. Damn, when you're good, you meet.
Well, small arms armorer, doesn't that? I always thought that just meant like guns, not.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Anyway, we've given bomb disposal a lot of shine. Let's talk about some other small and lovely things, starting with the air defense.
Defense.
I'm going to start with a crit first and then get into the praise train. This thing reminds me of, I don't know if you remember from the Empire Strikes Back collection, the laser cannon. It looks like a radar dish. And it has a blow apart feature. Well, this doesn't have a blow apart feature, but it's the same as the radar station or the laser cannon in that you can't fit a figure into it. A figure kind of interacts very loosely with it, standing beside it, like unprotected.
Yeah.
Which is dubious when it's a missile launcher. I mean, Flint doesn't really want to be standing or kneeling where he's kneeling. If you get my meaning. I mean, that's danger
he kind of
close,
has
my
to
friends.
Push the button. It has to be like a selfie.
Run
It's got a
away.
like 5-second like timer, and then you can fire it.
Yeah, so that is my sole criticism of this thing, and what has kept me from ever buying it, because it's just so ancillary. It kind of it works itself out of a place.
Yeah.
But hopping on the praise train, this would look great flanking a 1983 HQ. It's got that kind of brushed silver appearance, and it's actually a dark gray or light gray, whatever. Never seen one.
But it still look good. It'll still look good with the HQ.
Yeah,
I feel like it's size.
Would have to. Yeah, it is. It
quite
seems
big.
to be a good size, and it would obviously have to be at an HQ because it's not portable. So you're not carrying this onto a battlefield. So it kind of has to go with something that's stationary, like it is.
Nice.
With so many GI Joe weapons being mobile and towable, even things that like strain belief, like artillery pieces and missile launchers, it's nice to see the line commit to just a stationary bit of missile launcher. So yes, once again, speaks to the depth of the line. This is, it's nice that it exists. It's not going to be high up on anyone's priority list, but cool. That's enough on the air defense. Now here, my friends, is, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest battle station ever produced. Such a necessity to your display. The checkpoint. Or checkpoint Alpha. Ooh. Yeah, come to think of it, if they released alternate stickers with checkpoint Bravo, Charlie, etc., that would have been cool too. Because it's kind of it's a one and done, isn't it? You got one entry into the base, and this is it.
Yeah.
This choke point.
No one else.
Machine guns, searchlights, cameras, and a little gate. And a checkboard. I love the checklist.
Yeah. It's
what
a fun
great
little thing.
piece.
And we've had quite a few guys, like, over the years, like, comment on this vehicle, like, and tell us, like, oh, vehicle on this playset, and, like, sort of tell us that, you know, it's one of the best things they ever owned as kids. Like,
because it really does. I mean, it lends itself to play, you know.
Job.
Very procedural play, but play nonetheless. Sure.
It's yeah. I mean, but you could use it in lots of different situations, like breaking into a base, getting out of a base. Yeah, or just the kind of like day to day of like accepting dudes into your area. I like that it has Mutton Junkyard,
Yeah.
who would obviously
Mutton
later
Junkyard.
on you'd be able to replace it with Law and Order, which would be more appropriate. Obviously, they didn't exist at this point.
Yeah, man. It's great. It gives rise to, as you say, like a lot of play, because any kind of movement in and out of base goes through this checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or should.
yeah,
You'd
true.
hope it would.
Official movement. But no, I mean, what could be more fun than having Storm Shadow kind of underneath a APC? Like that's
Ooh.
Yeah, you
that's
can
why
tap
you gotta
this
have your
thing,
sniffer dog, man.
Yeah. Rum, rum, rum. And
The
then
sniffer
Joe
speed
to be
bump.
like,
Ninja
he's
Turtle.
probably just grumpy today. You know?
No.
Arrgh.
This thing is quite diminutive. So like an APC actually it's too wide almost for that gate and that speed bump. So like it's quite dinky. But you know, with a bit of suspension of disbelief, this can be your main entrance and exit, and it's so good for that purpose. Even to the point that the battle station that we're going to look at next has a blow apart feature. I would put it to you that this also can be very easily assembled and disassembled. None of the support posts from the bottom section and the top section are required to click in. They're all just friction.
So they kind of just stand on there.
They just kind of slide in and out. So it can be assembled and disassembled ad infinitum. You could just keep, and of course the gate also can kind of just be lifted out of its post. So this thing can be completely broken down to its smallest component. You know, all the weapons and the searchlight and the camera, whatever, all just have posts and holes. They're not mushroom pegged in there. Nothing is permanently attached. So this thing can be completely broken down and then rebuilt. So smart in that regard.
This is probably the best year for these kind of like little accessory playset things.
Oh yeah,
Because they kind of seem to peter off as they went along. Like they kind of stopped making these sort of like add-ons to your bases. And
they
little,
were
like,
never
play
going to
features.
be crowd pleasers or high flyers, but in the case of the checkpoint, I'd say this is an essential piece of your base setup. Let's move on then.
I think
to
they need more
Cobras.
plants. Yay! Something I own.
The pillbox.
Well, then you talk all about it, Paul.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I only have one half of it because, as you guys can see in the
What
image,
is it you're talking about?
I'm talking about the Cobra battle bunker, or the Cobra
Bunker.
armored bunker.
Bunker.
Just giving
Do
it.
you only have
names
one
now,
half of
making
this thing?
I've only got one half. So when you buy it, you only get one half. So if you want to get the full sort of caramel creme look
you have to buy
that you see on 3D Joe's, you have to buy two. Yeah.
And even then, they don't actually marry together.
Yeah, they're just
this area here at the top where they're not built like two halves.
Oh, that's
they're also
the weapon
somehow placed on the
transport
moon.
again.
But you know, guys, this thing I got it from Jim actually, and I did not I've never looked at this and gone, wow, this is amazing, because every time you see it in pictures, it looks kind of diminutive. When you have it in person, it's quite a bit more than you expect it to be in terms of its space and what you can actually do with it. But it's still small. I mean, nobody can stand and be covered by it. But there's just a charm to it. There's almost like a diorama-esque quality to it that I like quite a lot about it. And I am a little sad that they didn't do more stuff like this for Cobra. Like, we got a lot of it for GI Joe, but we got very little. I think this is this and the Terradrome kind of are the two base options for Cobra in the 80s. So
surveillance port to some degree as well.
Yeah, I suppose. And they have kind of revisited this concept, albeit a little crudely, in 2025, or in fact they did it in 2024, where they did that kind of bunker thing as well, which is looks like a bunch of stackable portaloos, club toilets. But as you guys can as Steve's showing on screen right now, the battle bunker has kind of got let's call it a break apart feature, because the pieces marry together in a kind of a puzzle like way, so that when they popped apart, it looks like they've been shattered. But yeah, so that's fun. It's
Hey,
designed
look,
to collapse.
it's
Yeah.
also just iconic, isn't it? I think it appears in the second season opening. They're kind of driving up the beach onto Cobra Island, and there's obviously the main Terradrome dominating the background, but you've got a Cobra bunker somewhere in the frame.
And
That's nice.
it's a bit of a pain to carry.
Uh-huh.
Oh, really? Would you not just
because
carry
of the
it
break
apart?
apart feature? Yeah, it's a little bit irritating to move around. Even if you're just like moving it on your shelf to like, maybe reposition it, the chances that you kind of knock it off out of its like sort of base is quite high.
Well,
it's fun. It's fun.
I appreciate it's in Cobra Blue. I think that's a big win on their part. It is
I also
interesting
don't have
that
the big rocket missile.
Oh,
it's
not even complete.
You don't even have one. You don't have a Cobra ball box.
Yeah, but if I had one, I want it to be complete.
Right, more small things. The ammo dump. Hey,
another thing I actually own.
Oh wow,
this is crazy.
I actually own two of these.
What is the concept behind this? So it's basically just it's a crate, and you can put weapons in it.
Yeah, well, actually, little bombs. Got little bombs and missiles and jerry cans, etc. There we go.
And does yours still have the little loops that help you to open it?
Mine does, yes.
The black rope. So someone actually tied knots in rope to complete this set
and put it on there.
Wow.
So once again, my question, I mean, it comes to these missiles and stuff. Are they associated with any Joe vehicles?
I've never tried, to be very honest with you. I've always just loved the novelty of having a box full of, munitions.
So, as far as I can tell, just by looking at it, I don't own this. Those are Fang missiles. Fang rockets. So those would go to the Fang helicopter, but they're in green, and I don't think they have the slots to attach them to the skids of the Fang.
Can't remember if they do or don't. It's not like It's not like I open it every time I go to it.
That's wild though. That GI Joe's kind of has like extra ordnance for Cobra vehicles.
Then the missiles look like Wolverine missiles.
And those don't have to have the little like holes in them.
They were just going into a slot on a box. I've never seen anyone put green missiles into their Wolverine yet. Maybe it exists out there and I haven't scoured the internet.
Well,
that's something I'd likely look for.
Anyone watching this or listening to this, if you own the ammo dump, let us know in the comments or via email. arealsouthafricanhero@gmail.com. Have you ever tried this? Have you ever attempted to put the missiles from your ammo dump into the Wolverine? Let us know.
And let us know how your Wolverine felt about it.
The mortars, I'm going to say, probably come from the next piece that we'll look at, or whatever it is, the outpost defense, not the outpost. We'll get there. But yeah, look, guys, amazing that this exists. I was in Greece in 1993, went into a toy shop, and I distinctly remember seeing this item as late as 1993, a 1985 ammo dump toy. Now, Greece is amazing for like old school finds like that. Like, there's a different consumer culture there, or at least there was back then, that like old stock doesn't get retired or clearanced. It just stays. It just stays, even in your big toy shops, until eventually sold, or just remains gathering dust for decades. So this would have been, as I say, like almost a decade of languishing on a shelf by that point. But it was there, and I was fascinated by it, but I obviously ignored it because I was like, what? It's just a box. Doesn't come with a guy? Like, it's got a guy on the painting, but it's just a box.
Yeah.
I also imagine it was quite the peg warmer in South Africa as well. Well, I imagine it's quite the peg warmer because my one actually comes from South Africa. Its origin is
Amazing.
South Africa. So
Well, I can
Yeah.
only imagine it was like dead stock from the United States. They were just, let's see if some other territories will actually like bite the bullet and someone gets a box for Christmas.
buy this.
Well, I mean that's probably why in the end they kind of did peter off doing these things because they weren't as popular as they
Oh.
kind of anticipated them being. These kind of like
If-
add-ons to your playtime.
If I wasn't
Wouldn't-
scared of putting, if I
vary.
wasn't scared of messing with my vintage Duke, I would have put him in here. It would have been like a Duke in the box.
Very good. Ways to salvage
Duke in
this,
the
I
box.
think, would have been to make it a gun crate and make little slots to put your weapons. Because, like, I don't know about you guys, but like loose weapons for me are always just lying around.
Mm.
Yeah, it does happen. Or in like a
does
big bag. Like
Yeah, not good, man. And certainly not a good in-universe look.
mm.
And further to that, let's skip the forward observer for now and talk about the Cobra rifle range because I'm going to say that this thing's most outstanding feature is having a rifle rack.
Ah,
That
I
is
love that.
wonderful.
I could really do with more of those. The 1983 HQ, in its kind of vehicle bays, on either side of the walls has gun racks.
mm.
Brilliant innovation. Yes, please. Cobra
Yeah, it's
needed
one of the
something like
coolest
that as
features.
well. Because
Mm.
when you've got a Terradrome, it sucks that your figures who would otherwise have rifles and then manning like a comm station don't have their rifles. You know, their weapons can't sit anywhere.
Yeah, they just
Mm.
got to lean them against the consoles or something.
I would
Put them in the
just buy-
prison with your prisoner.
buy up tons of Cobra rifle ranges and pilfer the rack.
Yeah.
So good.
I when I see the set and also when I think of the bunker, I'm always sort of saddened by the fact that we never got more of this kind of sculpted diorama basing from
Okay.
GI Joe as a toy line. I would have loved to have seen more of that, like more sort of gun emplacement things. This is like low cover. It's just disappointing. Like I really am very remiss that they never did that or never did enough of that. Like targets can take it or leave it, and I do appreciate the gun rack as well. Again, another thing they could have made as a separate item, like a pack of 4 or something. I think.
Or
know, with
pop
some
that into
stands
an
or something.
accessory pack. You
Mm.
know, you could definitely do that. You know, give the weapons, but then a rack that can hold the things. So it's interesting. This and the previous one, they come with figure stands. Was this the first
Yes.
use of figure stands? I mean, I don't think I've seen them before now.
Doesn't the jump
Or
have a
noticed
figure
them.
stand as well? I think the
No, the jump is a figure stand. I mean, basically, it's got a platform that has a post for a figure's foothold.
Yeah,
But the previous years, what are they? Battle stations as well. They all
they also came with a little bit.
Yeah, so the machine gun nest and the
That's
rocket
interesting.
launcher.
That was kind of like how they entered the line, was through these little accessory, these little like funny packs. And then obviously down the line they just threw them into every old, figure. Got
Paul,
their
I
own
know you
little
say that
stand.
you can take or leave the targets, but they've got such a neat feature. So it's a sandbag connected
Mhm.
to a target, but it's got a hinge that works only in one direction. Ding! The correct direction to knock over the target.
Yeah.
That's
So-
cute.
A cool little system. And I
That's
appreciate
cute.
that kind of engineering. Like, they didn't have to think that much about it. They could have just like clipped this together, as a one-time fit. But then you'd have the sandbags flip over. Instead, they did something smart with it and had the sandbags remain behind and the target could hinge downwards. But once again, only in one orientation, like the correct
Wonder how
one
many-
for it to shoot down.
What a great
wonder how
little
many-
like engineering detail.
Oh, it's cute. It's got the whole, it's suspension of disbelief and all that kind of stuff. But
Oh, and very subversive. All the guns are actually Joe guns. I know it's pictured in the
Whoa.
box art with an AK. The AK didn't come with it.
so it's only
so
got
that-
like the M16.
It's got two M16s. It's got the
Oh,
grunt one, and then the airborne one with the bayonet.
yeah.
and
that's
then
a
most
cool gun.
subversive of all, they've got GI Joe's
Laser
signature laser rifle. Yeah.
Kind of
Crazy,
makes me feel like it was initially a GI Joe thing.
Yeah, that's
they
the
got it
thing. I
from.
mean,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, like that. I suppose like the last minute. I mean, as I've been saying the whole way through this review of 85, it is very heavily weighted towards GI Joe or towards Joe's. So I suppose at the last minute they're like, wait a minute, we have hardly anything. You know, I mean, I've shown my chart before. You know, like we have
Yeah,
hardly
and you
anything
made a
on the
good point
Cobra
with this.
side. You know, so I think that it probably was like a last minute. We just changed the color on this thing a little bit, and suddenly it's a Cobra thing.
Also, I wonder how many 80s kids took their Daisy guns to those little targets. They're like, I can
Ooh.
hit that.
Absolutely, they must have done that.
Yeah.
Right,
Probably
boys.
ended up being outstanding snipers in the Gulf War. But anyway. Okay.
Let's. I'd love to
practice.
say let's do the big stuff, but I mean, we actually do need to get through 2 GI Joe items.
Oh my
one-
goodness! Back to Joe.
One being the forward observer.
Can't believe it. I've observed this forwardly.
It's another battle in a bag. I mean, you know, you're getting a small box. It's got a tent, a radio, a mortar, a sort of mortar round box, and 2 loose mortar bombs. So
God.
just and a monocular, infrared monocular with 40 times zoom
Whoa!
or 40 times amplification. Yeah,
And a
Amazing.
little party tent.
Which is bulletproof, apparently, according to the blueprint.
Whoa!
Yeah,
That is.
Dude.
I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Yeah. No. Even
No.
that, no.
I love that
No.
the ammo box has sculpted bombs in it, and then you would put the loose, shells on top to kind of give you some play, but also not have like 6 loose items. You've got your sort of 2
Yeah.
practical ones, and the rest just kind of are in the box.
Yeah, I suppose they reckon you didn't really need 6 bombs. You just needed enough to be able to like play with it, but then you still get this nice sculpted detailing.
The radio has a removable antenna, bane of our existence now, but like back then, lovely little attention to detail, additional detail. And the mortar is humongous. Kind of wish you could drop a bomb in there, but kind of don't. Like, that's always dubious. Then you've got this thing, and you've got to kind of tip it out. So, yeah, I guess it is of assistance to play that you can't drop it in, realistically. It's you have to kind of cheat it. And I'm okay with that.
Otherwise it'll just stay stuck in there and you'll never get it out. Ruined. Ever.
It's very much a one-man tent, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is a lone operative's position. Yeah, that excites me. Like someone actually hiked up to a position with all
carrying
this
that
equipment.
giant mortar.
Or maybe they got dropped off by a vamp or something, but like it's definitely a solo operator dropping some pain on, I don't know, Cobra advancing infantry
They
battalion.
just airdropped it to a position and then the Joe hiked there. But
yeah,
could
the
be
mind
that too.
races. Lovely, lovely piece.
The mortar
Great
launcher
art.
is awesome.
Yeah, mortar launchers is pretty good. And also really nice art on the packaging as well, showing spirit.
And actually not in his standard box art stance. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. A lot of the box art for this just basically it like rejigs the artwork from the card art and sort of takes the gun out of like Ricondo's hand and puts a bomb in it, kind of thing. So this one thankfully doesn't have the dubious honor of that. And I'm talking about with Spirit, you know, gently holding the mortar. Oh, my
Easy
word.
now. Yeah.
I wonder
Credit where
why they
credit's due.
chose. I feel like it needs to be mentioned, but I wonder why they chose Spirit for this box art. And I really hope it has nothing to do with the fact that there's a tent, because something just tells me that, like in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, somebody's like, "Oh, we should put the Native American there. It's got a tent."
Nah.
I could just imagine
No,
it
then
went
they
like
would have
that, and it
given
was
him
probably innocent, but
no.
it's just yeah.
Then they would have given him a teepee, Paul.
No, they
I'm
wouldn't have.
just-
They weren't like they didn't give a shit. But also, just before we move on from this, do you guys remember the little tents like that being sold in like toy shops? Like you could
Mhm.
get like little tents like that. You could like they
You
were
know what it reminds me
really
of?
crappy.
A
But yeah.
pack-in. It reminds me of a pack-in with like Green Army Men. You know, pre-posed
Yes.
molded Green Army Men. Like it's something. It's a single piece of plastic molded in a very simple shape.
Mm.
What sets it apart is obviously the GI Joe stickers. Like putting stickers on a tent. That's yeah. Thank goodness for that. It's just the GI Joe veneer of quality right there. But yeah, it is
Yeah.
very basic. I actually have the tent. It's the one item I have from the set.
Oh, cool.
So it's nice. It's nice to have. But yeah, it does feel kind of cheap, kind of like a nothingness. But I'm glad it exists. Once again, I've used this phrase a number of times. Like, just speaks to once again the depth of the line. But let's get on to something that will crease some clouds, crowd some
Yes.
please some crowds.
Tactical
A lot of
battle
people's
platform.
yes,
Thank
a
God.
lot of
Wow.
people's favorite base item, as it turns out.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like
It is awesome. Please discuss,
TTBP.
gents, while I see to my family.
So
Whoa.
at least for me, the tactical battle platform was the first kind of dare I say base or PlayStation playset playset that I sort of pursued. And if you guys are have been with us for a while, or you're just starting, and you know, if you hit up to some of the earlier episodes of our podcast, yeah, you guys will hear how I'm like, you know, sort of lording over this vehicle or over this playset, and I really wanted one. I did eventually get one, but at JoeCon actually, and thanks to Greg Crockett, you awesome human, and also just one or two extra pieces that I had to pick up at JoeCon. But dudes, yeah, this thing is so cool. It looks so basic, and then when you actually see it in hand and you realize it's actually quite a lot of plastic, and it's got a bit of a modular thing going for it as well, like modular, and that you can put like two of them together. That's quite fun too. You know,
it's
you can bridge
great.
them.
I mean, it's like the GI Joe HQ. It has everything that has, but it kind of has that added, I suppose, wonder of it being like you can station it. It's mobile. You can station it, you know, on the coast. You know, because it's meant to, you know, it accommodates essentially the same amount, almost the same amount of stuff that the HQ does. You can put a vehicle on there. You can put like a helicopter on there. And then the extra access of, I mean, as pictured, we're seeing a picture here, even the shark can interact with this thing because you can place it near water.
Yeah. I
And
also
so much guns and stuff, you know, just like guns and missiles and
also it's like not really shown on the pictures here, but you can elevate this thing. So the struts that it's on, you can actually raise them. You can make this thing stand taller.
That's great.
And that is an incredible feature because it's if you take this away from being like a water vehicle and you make it like a water playset, and you make it a land playset, you then got kind of a makeshift motor pool kind of thing happening underneath it, which is quite fun.
Yeah, it makes space for vehicles to go underneath it. Yeah.
I mean, mine's currently parked at my folks' place, and on the helipad, I've actually got my Locust parked there, and not my Skyhawk. And I've got somebody who's parked and I think I've got my Armadillo parked on the bridge as well. It's a fun feature.
Cool.
It's just got one mystery, and I'm waiting. Hopefully Steven returns in time. But there's a radar.
Yeah,
I hope he can. So there's a gun, like a sort of a double-barreled gun thing that's got like a range. Yeah, and it's got like a radar dish kind of attachment. Now, I've got that piece, but for the life of me, I don't know how to attach it to that properly. And I've looked at like instruction manuals and things like that before, and I think maybe somewhere, I think mine's just broken or it's missing a tab or something's weird there. So I'd love for Steven to like address that, because I've always had a bit of an issue.
I almost feel like his one's broken too. I almost feel like his one is also broken. Like I feel like I remember having to attach something on this thing using press stick, because we've featured this quite a lot. This was for GI Joburg. It's part of our history. I mean, it was part of our very first play motion. You know, when we were kind of like just testing the waters of like just playing with the toys instead of just making reviews. And like just straight up reviews anymore. Yeah, I have great memories with this thing. I mean, once again, it was something that Stephen acquired later in life. You know, not like early 20s.
I think he got it from eBay, actually.
Sounds about right, I reckon.
Yeah, because he was in Joburg when he got it. That much I do remember.
Johannesburg.
And I remember being like a little irritated when I heard the news the first time.
Why did you get it first? I wanted it first.
No, shame. It wasn't so much that. It wasn't like, why did you get it first? I never knew he wanted it, kind of thing.
You didn't even know that.
Yeah, and then when he like got it, I was like, oh, cool.
You're like, wait a minute.
And then shame, it made it just seem like, it just made it seem like, because when I was like so excited about it, it made it almost seem like, you know, like I love everything. And I mean, I like a lot of GI Joe stuff. Don't get me wrong. But in this case,
I think out of the three of us, you have the least terrible, you know, like harsh words to say about a lot of different things. Like you're very forgiving. I would say.
I am very forgiving, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's just a toy.
Yeah, you know,
just a toy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oh, okay. You jumped on that.
I just wanted to grab some better visuals for our YouTube folks.
Oh no, fair enough. I was about to do the same.
There's also, I think there's also a weapon, gun rack in here. Yes, there is. There is a rifle rack.
So the set itself has so many like areas of play and interest. So yes, you have the different guns, the kind of like laser cannon thing with the broken thing that Paul has. You have a missile rack that fires. You have the command center, and it's so cool that it has like the added glass paneling along the edge of that. Like they didn't have to add that in there, but it's so nice that they did add that in there. And then on the fourth corner, or like near the fourth corner, there should be there's like a little depression, where you can have your rack of guns sort of stood up.
There's a cool there's just something about it that just feels so like it's weird. It's just it's got like a lot of like finger food, in the sense like it's a lot of stuff to like mess around with.
There's a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I feel like obviously I think everyone, the HQ is so cool, but this is like the HQ but mobile. And it feels a lot more real world, because it feels complete in itself. Because you look at the HQ from the front, it looks fine. You know, that this facade. It's the same like with the Cobra bunker. Like it's good from one side. Well, this is complete in itself all the way around. Like it is finished. There's nothing extra that has to be added to it. It's there's no suspension of disbelief when you use this thing. You know, like with the HQ or with the sewing box, which has to obviously be opened and slotted to be able to like look at what's going on inside. This is playable, you know, straight out of the box, or once you build it.
It's a lot of fun. And have you mentioned the winch, by the way?
I haven't actually.
Yeah, because it's a crane. I called it a winch, but it's actually a crane.
I think people. Yeah. What's the difference between a winch and a crane? Like
one of them's attached to a vehicle. And the other one is suspended on a high point and uses cantilever forces.
You called the Checkpoint Alpha a vehicle, so I mean, this can be a vehicle.
This could be a vehicle. Suspended disbelief. But the TTBP has a really cool kind of feature, which I'm showing off now in the video, but I don't want to call it a hidden feature, but I think over the passage of time, with people getting this play set without seeing the box, for example, or having because I think it's only on the box art that they show this, is they've got 4 dragonflies. Dragonflies. Actually, like carrying one of these things. So like they changing, you know, they've hoisted it, and I think that's such a cool concept, and I think we did do it. I mean, in one of our
Yes, I mean, I
promotions.
think that was in that very first one, that was the genesis of the idea of that original play motion. Was like, I think Steven noticed this detail, and he was like, I want to make this happen. Unfortunately, we don't own 4 dragonflies between us. I think he has one, and then like another one that he repainted, and we have like a core one. So we did end up, I think it was with 3 or 4. You guys can go back and watch the original play motion. But yeah, there was that picture that you only see on the packaging was the impetus for that entire sequence in that original play motion. It is such a hidden feature. Like,
anyway,
you don't even know it. You don't even know
Rob
it.
and I are gushing on this.
We're gushing so much,
big time. If you guys haven't got one, I think this is
really
something that has to be. Yeah, it should be elevated to the top of your needs, your GI Joe needs list,
like the TTBP can do for itself,
like it can do with its little clips and all that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how dramatically prices have changed on this thing, but I know when I got mine, which thankfully was a gift, but I had to buy some extra parts, some additional parts, and they weren't that expensive when I got them at JoeCon.
Wow.
Like they were actually quite cheap, even by South African collector standards cheap.
Yeah, so if you guys are trying to buy this, piecemeal, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you want to buy complete.
And a wild Steven has reappeared.
Very wild.
Crazy. So wild.
So
yeah, we were mentioning this was the genesis of play motions, was the wonderful picture on the packaging of dragonflies carrying
that
this thing.
play motion in particular. Yeah.
Well,
no,
play motions.
Before that, they were kind of embedded in reviews. This was the first thing where the review fell away in favor of just toys interacting in character, in universe. And I kind of still gave it a review format. Like that first Atlantis Factor is posited as showcasing the TTBP, doing very little other than just being deployed.
Look how cool this is.
Shipwreck stands on the helicopter landing pad and he's ordering the guys around at the various kind of points of interest.
Use the missile launchers.
Exactly.
Missile launcher firing system. Spin up the radar dome.
Everything very kind of like, look at this and look at that, but
this is something else.
Keeping in character.
Yeah. My favorite drink is Monster or some shit. Anyway, I just want to just do that. And
do you have a rifle rack for yours, Paul?
Have you?
I do actually have that still.
Brilliant.
I think one of the tabs is broken. No, I don't have the weapons. Greg was kind, but I don't think he could. I don't think he had a sample with all of those in. So,
it's tough to complete piece, but it's a lovely thing
of pieces to have to complete.
All the small things.
Yeah.
Also, if you take the box art at face value and there's an armadillo like going onto it, like where's that armadillo coming from? Like they give you this little piece of rock, to sort of suggest that this has been set up close to the coastline, but it's like a little innocuous. Anyway,
if you weren't paying attention, you'd be like, "Wow, this is in the middle of the ocean. Armadillos can float.
They can float." I'm also surprised that they never did a rerun of this vehicle. Like, did it as like a Street Fighter thing or a Mortal Kombat thing?
I don't know. Are you surprised? I mean, it has so many moving parts and so much stuff to make.
I'm surprised only because we got the Street Fighter set got the one HQ. I think they did a Street Fighter themed version of the one HQ, and
the Toxo Lab.
And the Toxo Lab. So that I got that, why couldn't they have done this? I understand not having maybe the weapons rack and whatever's like, maybe they could have omitted that if they really needed to. But this is I'm just surprised that they never reprinted these.
Like, maybe the molds were lost early on. maybe.
It's possible.
I don't know if it's been said, but once again, there are a lot of parts on this that simply slot in.
Yeah.
You can disassemble 90% of it without actually unclipping any like clips. I'd say the missile launcher and the Gatling guns, leave those in there, but you can completely disassemble the command station, the landing
Great
pad.
battle damage.
You can pull out the leveling legs. So this thing is fairly easily broken down. I know you must have done so for travel, Paul, because you were muling this in your luggage.
Yes.
As did I back in 2014 when I got mine. No, it was
I
earlier
th-
than that.
Did you? Yeah, because I remember I knew you when you got yours. I was just telling Rob earlier. I was like annoyed
Yeah.
when you got it.
It must have been 2011. I visited the Emerald Isle and the UK, and
That's where you got it from.
yeah, I have an Action Force TTBP.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I picked up in
Lord
person
Dublin.
late one night. I took a train from Brighton about 90 minutes down the track and I
Body
forget
town?
which town it was, but I found this guy's address on Google Maps and walked from the station to his place. Did the money for toy. He included barbecue and Footloose.
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got two figures.
Got you started on your 1985 collection early.
Yeah. Lovely story, lovely condition, and lovely price. I think he wanted something nominal like 10 quid.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
Give me a
Ridiculous.
tenner. I need the old fish and chips for lunch.
Well, I remember these things going for like $30. So
Ooh.
Oh, the time we
I
had,
know.
boys.
Oof.
But now,
Anyway.
the main event.
Whoa.
The main event.
The
So
main
guys-
event.
We can talk about
title
the
fight.
parachute pack.
Yay!
Oh,
I want to say something before Steve goes on his whole excited
Spiel
tirade
about
about the
Starduster.
flag.
oh.
Only because I think GI Joburg has had the privilege of being able to speak about this toy a lot and this playset a lot.
So much.
But
you know,
and because we are kind of a podcast, and I know Stephen loves it when we have a little bit of a debate about things.
Here we go.
So is the flag still relevant today? Like, is it still worth having a flag as a GI Joe fan? Is it actually that cool? For the one or two people that have just started their
that
GI
don't
Joe
own
collection,
one yet.
that don't own one yet.
I think absolutely. I mean, if you have the space for this thing, if you can make it happen, it's definitely worth owning. And if you can make the improvements that we've documented over the years to kind of add bulk to it, to kind of create extra space for you to make it more practical, more than just like a flimsy table piece, essentially. I think owning this is an absolute necessity. It's a part of history to own the biggest toy playset ever produced in the world. Like, it doesn't get big on this. I think
Paul,
for sure.
let's drill down on your point a little bit.
Mm.
What is causing you to ask that question?
Yeah, why are you doubting?
Oof. I'm
In
glad
the
that you asked, actually. I can't explain it to you guys. I've just become less and less enamored with the flag as the years go by. I love that Steven's got one, and I'm very happy that I've had the opportunity to play on it, and will hopefully have the opportunity again. And I dig that about it. But the more I look at it, the more I just see it as like just big slabs of plastic stuck on top of something. To me, I just over the years, it's just one of those things that I just feel like a lot of people make a huge fuss out of it, but it's actually just a plastic table. And that has, I can't unshake that image in my mind. Like, I've had trouble. Like, I've actually thought, maybe I'm just, becoming old and crotchety or something. But that's kind of why I'm asking. Like, is it still relevant? Because, people still want HasLab to do a freaking flag. And I think the reason they want to do a flag, they want HasLab to do the bloody flag, is because they're hoping they'll do it better. Oof.
No, they want it in classified scale. Ha ha ha.
Oh,
Which
Yeah,
has
there's
been
that too.
done. In case you haven't caught
Yes.
wise, someone basically made a 3D render of all the parts and created the STL files and then printed a scale up of the USS Flagg. They did it.
that is
And they made it
wild.
they made it true to the original. They didn't make too many improvements, only minor little cosmetic things along the way. Like instead of having a sticker for, the sort of USS Flagg livery, it's 3D printed in color onto the
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
nice.
great. That's kind of like
front. It's three. Yeah, it does have. It's kind of raised, the lettering and the stripes.
brilliant.
That said, it's kind of a one and done. I don't know if anyone else. I mean, I suppose there are people with deep pockets out there who have access to that kind of size of 3D printer. Maybe it's been followed. Maybe his files have been traded around. But yeah, he did it. This crazy guy. It's been well documented on YouTube.
That's
So
wild.
check it out.
I can't believe that. That's
Hello,
wild.
Ellie.
But yeah, I
yeah,
think
man.
it obviously it's a difficult sell. Like it really is a giant piece. And it really isn't a good table. Like it's very, it's not
That's very
meant to
shit
be used
table.
as a table. And now that you are a homeowner, I mean, you kind of see yourself in this space that's bigger than just a single room, and even having more than just one room, you still can't imagine the space that you would put it into. Yeah,
I do think having my place definitely has kind of soured me on it a little bit more, just because I'm like the like for something this big, it has to be a lot more interactive and impressive for me.
Yeah,
For
it's
it
a
to occupy that
centerpiece,
much
but it
space.
can't just be doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, definitely. I think as a kid, this makes perfect sense. Like you're in your kid's room, you have this in your room, it's sitting in a corner, you're doing whatever you want with it. But weirdly enough, as you get older and you kind of have responsibilities and you have more space where you could possibly put it, it just makes less sense because you aren't necessarily playing with it anymore like you would have as a child. So
Well, let's
yeah,
not tiptoe through the daisies, boys. It makes zero sense whatsoever. And it didn't make sense back in 1985 either. This, if you believe the hype, was not a profitable toy. This wasn't Hasbro making millions on the Flag. It was so expensive to produce and produced in such low quantities that this really just was a statement piece. This was a head turner. This was like the talk of the town at the New York Toy Show of 1985. Like, what? GI Joe is doing what? People would go into the room and it'd be like that, I suppose, that Cobra Mothership moment from Super 7, except magnified.
yeah, it's just so big you can't not notice it. Can you imagine walking to a toy store in 1985, 1986, and this is taking up huge amounts of shelf space in the toy store? Even if you don't get it, you are drawn to GI Joe, and it kind of brings you into the world of GI Joe. So I think they kind of took that chance. They were like, even if people don't buy this, we are still drawing them into GI Joe and
it's got
making them interested in
serious
GI
big dick
Joe
energy.
overall. Absolutely.
I learned later on in life, and this is a theory that I had when I first got the toy, and then it was borne out by the facts, that the deck plates, because it's that sort of like playground material plastic, Hasbro actually had to get them manufactured by a different company. They didn't do those kind of like playhouses and things. So
yeah,
that's why it's so durable, and it is kind of a departure from what you expect, like the sort of the very hard plastic injection
it was
mold
very
parts.
surprising when I first touched it. When I put my hands on the flag, it was very different.
What does
I
it
can
represent to me now, though? And this comes back to what you guys are talking about with, like, Paul being a property owner now. It's a life goal. If you're in a position to have your flag set up all year round, you've reached a milestone in your life that kind of is the top tier collector goal, as far as I'm concerned. You've got your dedicated collection room, and it's big enough to hold a full-scale Flagg aircraft carrier. Because,
One of
Paul,
these
I know
ones.
you want more bells and whistles, and yes, you can boil it down to just being a table. But I'm going to put it to you that there is no more handsome place to put your GI Joe Air Force. So the most sort of premium vehicles of the line, the jets, never got an airfield, never got an airdrome, a base. You know, you'd have to just have it taking off from your kitchen table or the passageway or a walkway outside.
Mm.
The Flagg, my friends, answers that call to action and gives you a place where you can park, maybe at a stretch, 3 Sky Strikers. I know the box art has 6 painted onto it now. That is, yeah, that unfortunately
wrong.
is a bridge too far for the actual toy. But hell, even if you just got 1 Sky Striker in place of Pride on the catapult, ready to be launched. Okay, it didn't actually have a catapult. You're going to have to imagine that. But like with that blast shield up and ready for takeoff, that, my friends, is the reason for the Flagg.
Yeah, to be able to
That
see
synergy
your own
between
space.
like the premier naval air superiority jet of the 80s, the Icon, the Tomcat or Sky Striker, and a place to really, really show it off.
Does
Aircraft
it have an
carrier.
arresto hook? I can't remember.
It does have an arrestor hook that clips
Yes,
into
yeah.
the classic Sky Striker, and no subsequent reuse of the Sky Striker. Well,
Has it?
apart from
Yeah.
Night Boomer, can do that. Like, what an oversight! I guess it just wasn't high up on the design mandate to make
Yeah, it's like
subsequent Sky Strikers interact
this
with.
to make it compatible with the USS Flagg, this giant, like, you know, whale.
I mean, because
Hardly
we're in the
anyone
GI Joe community, it might seem like the Flagg is fairly commonplace, but like actually, in terms of real numbers, yeah. I mean, I think 100,000 were produced. I might be pulling that number. Well,
out
no,
of somewhere
was it 100?
dark and moist.
Was it 100,000?
My sense
Anyway.
of humor.
Maybe it's only 1,000. No, maybe it's 10,000. It's
10,000
somewhere in that vicinity.
Somewhere in that ballpark. And I feel like if you do own one, you are in the Joe community. I really don't feel like if you own one of these, you aren't into GI Joe for the long run.
Yeah,
So
I think
you know.
I just like I think something that's like sort of put me as something that stares me in the face, and I'm sure you guys encounter it quite a lot in the collected them. And also, dear viewer, if you relate to this, please don't feel like I'm personally attacking you. But I have for the last few years just gotten, and also anybody who's listened to this podcast long enough knows that this is a big grind for me. I really hate people who collect for the value of the collection, you know, like for the value that, like, the financial monetary value of the collections. And something like a flag is kind of like it's a big dick item, and like, I've got this very valuable toy which, you know, is in its minted box, and, you know, it's worth like probably 30 or 40K nowadays, I don't know.
I mean,
and that's
if I
like
remember
the
it
thing.
correctly, that's exactly why Stephen bought it. He was like, I gotta show off how cool my dick is. Slap it on down the table here for everyone to see.
I mean, I get it. Whenever somebody purchases one of these and they want to like relive their childhood or relive the childhood they never had, then I totally understand that. Especially, I think if you were born in the States and you saw adverts for this and you saw this on shelves in stores and things like that, I can kind of understand the connection and the
Are you trying to say like the type of person who owns a flag that?
I think the flag attracts people that aren't necessarily GI Joe fans.
Oh,
Of course. How can it not? It's toy history. But Paul,
Exactly.
I detect a slight hint of sour grapes.
Why?
Because
Why would it be sour grapes?
You have drawn a line in the sand and you have said to yourself, I will never own a USS Flagg.
Yeah. But it's not. But that line in the sand is not like, oh my god, I'll never own one. That is the line in the sand I drew for myself because I was like, I don't really want to own
It
own one
sounds like you're
enough
also
to.
characterizing like USS Flag owners a certain way, so you don't put yourself into that sort of like class
No,
of person.
God, are you trying?
And
No,
guys, we're
don't.
not disparaging all USS Flag owners.
Yeah,
We're
don't
just saying that
psychoanalyze me.
Paul has identified a certain type of collector who might buy these.
I
So if
just
you own a flag, he's not saying you're like that, but
because there are people that have these things that want to like make a big thing out of it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just I think it's the least interesting, one of the least interesting GI Joe vehicles in the entire line, and that line in the sand that I drew for myself to not have one is not necessarily because of finance or space. It's because I don't want to feel obligated to have one. Like I don't like it enough. I don't want to feel like I had the opportunity to get one, and this is
What?
actually kind of along not that actually
Guys.
quite a while ago. A friend of mine had one. They had one as kids, and he actually found out from his siblings.
This is mind blowing.
If it was still at their parents' home, at their parental home. Now, the time it took to get this information was like 2 days. To go back and forth for their brother to go and check their parents' house and for it to come back. In that time, in those 2 days, I was like, the prospect of owning a flag was like kind of exciting, and I was like, oh wow, cool! I might actually own a flag. It would be really, really nice. And Steve and I both have one. And then, but then I also started going through the whole like, do I really, really want one, or do I want one just because I'm like, because of GI Joe and whatever. And I actually got to a point that when Dan had like said to me, no, actually, literally 2 months ago, they took it out. They put it out on the sidewalk, and it was probably taken by collectors or thrift store owners or something. I was actually kind of relieved that I didn't get it, and that's how I know I don't really like it. Like I was
This is wild, guys. You tuned in to hear the 40th anniversary 1985, but we have had a wonderful therapy session here. We've helped Paul open up about why he doesn't want the flag.
I think
there's more flags for you guys to get.
Yay! No, but also I just every time when people talk about GI Joe, you hear about the flag a lot, and I'm like, but what about the butt?
No, for
And
sure.
What about all the other cool shit that makes
like,
GI Joe cool?
But I mean, like, those are cool, but they're on a different scale. This thing is on an impossibly different scale. Like,
it definitely. Listen, I have a lot of respect for it for what it is. Okay, in the sense that it's the biggest toy ever made. I've always thought that was really impressive.
Isn't the biggest toy ever made. It's just a Cobra vehicle. That's why the idea of the flag goes beyond GI Joe. Like everyone knows, if you know anything about toys.
It's also a point of pride that the biggest toy ever produced was a GI Joe toy. Like as a GI Joe fan, there is a point of pride to it. Like I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. You're like, yeah, it's cool that it's like a GI Joe, and also by extension, like it's not a shit toy. Like, I'm gonna step on somebody's toes now, but the Eternia playset, the Motu one, like that's a piece of shit. Like it's beautiful and it's really really cool on a concept, but actually when you break it down, it's a train set. It's basically a roller coaster ride for your He-Man toys, and it's fragile as all shit. And it's actually not a good toy. And they sort of half recalled them.
Wow.
And so at least
they never recalled the flag.
They never recalled the flag. The flag is a better quality toy. It's a better quality item. It's just not something I think is that great, and it's not something it's something I feel is grossly overhyped. And I know it's a bit of a hot take, and I know I'm being controversial when I say that, but I'm not trying to be controversial for controversy.
No, obviously no. You're guys. Paul's always honest. This is coming from his heart.
I want a big Cobra saucer, damn it. That's interesting. This thing is still also sorry, and it's the last thing I'll say. It's still an aircraft carrier, guys. Like
crazy. So Paul is still chasing that giant vehicle. For him, it's not the flag. It's the vehicle that's coming around the corner from Super 7. Or has it? Maybe.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Super 7 managed to pull off a Cobra mothership. I don't know.
Who knows?
But that's another thing that infuriates me. If they had done a flag, everybody would have been like, "Oh my god, it's the second coming!" and they would have boosted the shit out of that thing's Kickstarter. Anyway,
Well, you know, I
think
it's
that's where the sour grapes comes in, Steve. To be
there
fair,
it is. But it's an aircraft carrier. It looks gorgeous, and as I said, it looks even better when you improve it using our incredible patented improvement methods.
yes. What is it called, Steve? What are the kids calling it?
I would just call it the raise the flag procedure. I think Retro
There we
Blasting
go.
actually their video series called it raise the
Copyright.
flag as a nod
Yeah.
to the cartoon episode where they
Yeah.
resurrected from the bottom of the sea. And I mean, it's apt because you are literally raising the flag,
Yeah,
doubling
raise flag.
its
And
draft.
if you want to go one
It's a
step
pun.
further, guys, you can float the flag.
can
We did
float the
that too,
flag.
by the way. World first, we floated the flag in another one of our outstanding play motions.
I don't know if it's a world first, but certainly a YouTube debut.
Yeah. Well, it's the first recorded instance of it happening, so world first.
It's also the coolest instance of it happening. Let's be fair.
I had to dig through our YouTube archive to find images of the flag set up beside the Defiant. But like, just in case you wanted to truly marvel at the size of this thing, like here's me. Relative scale. Like I can duck down and hide behind the Defiant.
Yeah.
And that's a
And by the way, guys,
toy.
If you are watching the video, I am in this picture, but you cannot see me. That's how big the flag is.
Yep, Rob's hiding.
Oh
man,
it's behind the camera.
Break you.
Yeah, Paul, I can honestly say this is not the conversation that I expected to have when I embarked upon our third part of our 40th anniversary 1985 salute. No, I'm grateful for some hot takes and some perhaps some misgivings about the flag.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe if I was chasing this thing in my 40s, it would have lost its luster by just kind of me mind gaming myself out of it. But it came when I was still young and naive and in my 20s and very much in love with toys and the possibilities and just never having had this thing and like the will it won't it arrive in one piece, the lottery of getting something this shipped off to South Africa.
That's something I was trying to touch on just earlier. Was the more responsibilities you have, the less maybe desirable owning one of these things is, or the less likely you are to have the space or the impetus to be able to have one of these and give it maybe the love that it deserves to have. You know, like the older you get, the more responsibility you accrue. Even though yes, you have more space than you ever did as a child. There's just so much more to pull you away from owning a flag.
Oh yeah,
but
and a flag motivates you to do more than to just have it on a shelf, because you ain't gonna put it on a shelf. You need to structure your room around it. And in the case of GI Joburg, you need to make improvements to it to make it make sense, to make it usable in something like a play motion. Like I've gotten more play, if you can call it that, out of my flag than any toy, because it needed work. And I'm grateful for that, because I do regard that as playtime, albeit more practical playtime of a different kind, like measuring boards and sawing and gluing pieces of foam together to create a sort of a surfboard, and then putting it to camera, putting it to YouTube, like showing it to the world. Like GI Joburg has gotten so much out of this famed toy that
its very existence encourages you to interact with it. So if you aren't interacting with it in some way, that's a shame. You know, putting your vehicles on there or moving it around, doing something with it. I mean, if you're just going to own it,
but even stripping all that extra stuff back, Rob, all that extra sort of production work that's gone into GI Joburg's flag, even if I strip all of that back, just a cool place to park a Sky Striker, a Dragonfly, a Tomahawk, and all your figures. Like the flag offers that.
Yeah.
Like it is a life goal of mine to have my flag at least semi-permanently set up. You want to be able to have flexibility with your display, and sometimes a giant flag in the middle of it is not practical. But I'd love to just, man, I'd love to get my flag out again.
Same.
The possibility of that prospect excites me. And it excites me a little bit more than maybe another big ticket item. I think the flag, just because of its symbiosis with other GI Joe toys, like you can't really do a great deal with vehicle toys and a Terradrome. You can have a few ATVs and flight pods parked around it, but they're all sort of little things. The flag offers the opportunity to get your big boys into play. You can have a whale sort of jetting around beneath your flag.
Because they're on top of it, it's a complete dio space, and it's in its own right,
If you've hollowed out the underneath, you can start putting things inside. In this photograph that I'm showing, I have a whale parked in the sort of the forward hole.
It's the whale.
It's the whale. I mean, you can make it out barely. You can see its skirt.
It's there. I recognize that skirt anyway.
So, I don't know. To bring this to a positive close, I guess, like the flag is one of a kind. It's a statement piece and has got some serious shortcomings, but owning one has definitely enhanced my enjoyment of my hobby.
Yeah. If you have a passion for it, go for it. If you have no passion for it, that's also fine. That, as I said, that's more flags for the rest of us.
And I'm sorry that voices on the internet have kind of soured you on this, Paul, because I suppose some people do use it as a point of bragging.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. But
yeah, I mean,
with
it is
anything
what it
in life,
is.
there are people all over the place.
There's always going to be that.
Good to bad, or from here to there and everywhere. Focus on the positives. Focus on what Steven has to say about this thing. Look at him.
Speaking of,
it's wrapped up in great nostalgia for me. What a mythical day! And I had you and Elle join me in Christmas of 2010 to assemble this thing. Like, that was an epic playtime. I recall, like, we had a table set up, and then when we were measuring out the parts, we were like, "This table ain't big enough." What a drop the mic moment that was. It's like,
you need a bigger table.
We had not thought this through. Like, put it on the floor and leave it on the floor for, like, I don't know, 3 months until I was back in Cape Town.
You have a bigger boat. But on the positive side of things, did you guys get anything new? Has there been any new toy arrivals in your lives?
Any new toy arrivals?
I know of one thing that Steve has.
I got a Keaton Batman.
No ways.
Mental
You
Cross.
own one already?
I got one in these
one of those
gray and blue colors.
That is amazing that you actually own one that looks like him. I think my one is one that has like this weird like he's like the diving one or something. He has like these things that go in front of his eyes. And he's like,
that was actually that's the Kilmer Batman with those yellow.
Oh, there's the Kilmer Batman.
Yeah. That's probably why it doesn't look like Keaton.
I have Iceman.
Probably.
Yay!
The classic Iceman. These were bought on card, and I had the delight of slicing them.
And it's so crazy that yours is so clear because,
it's the second release. It's the blue one.
Yeah, you see the original.
Yeah, because I've got the original.
Just yellow.
That's not a brag or anything. It's just like I have the original, which has got like slightly cloudier plastic. And that's why I was so interested in yours when you posted pictures. I'm very excited that you got those. Which card did you get, by the way, with your Iceman?
Second, sort of 1994, I guess. Second release. Batman came with a cool grapple that has the similar feature to Kane, except it's got a locking mechanism, so it does.
That is great.
And then, zip, if you flick a switch, up he goes.
Love it.
That's fun.
Very cool.
No, I meant what trading card did you get with your Iceman?
Oh, right. It's Polaris and Havoc.
Oh, yay. Okay, so that's Flea Ultra X-Men. Okay, interesting. Yeah. That's definitely the second line. Yeah, because that's how you know. The first ones were all those comic card stuff.
1994's comic card series. Anyway, that's me.
Guys in the know.
Very cool.
Whoa.
Rob, did you get
You got
anything
it.
new toy-wise?
I got an apple.
No, as always, I doubt it. Where am I finding these things?
Sonic.
Under my bed. No, nothing new there.
So I got myself a Guile from the new Street Fighter series, and locally, I might add.
Ooh,
That's fun to mention. Well, let me
nice
just
Jean-Claude
try
Van
and get it
Damme
in the-
figure. Good for you.
You're a Jean-Claude Van Damme figure.
Damn, I wish.
But yeah, he's
the way
great,
he does
man.
them splits,
Like,
son.
I didn't. He's not alone. He's joined by another guy or another character.
Another guy.
But I thought this
Ooh.
was quite fun. That that Jada always surprises me because they do these little things like in this case we got the dog tags on a little bath chain,
What a nice detail.
which is like it's a fun feature to have, and he's got exchangeable heads, and he even has a little comb, for his hand, like as
Yes,
an
like he does in
accessory.
the animation. He's like,
Yeah, but it's like removable. The comb is removable, so that's like a fun feature. And then I got I would say it's one of my mains because I main two characters in Street Fighter. The first one is Ryu, and the second one is Cammy.
whoa,
I love
Cammy.
playing. So it's great
I
to
think
finally have Cammy from Street Fighter.
People who don't know Street Fighter know who Cammy is.
Know who
And
Cammy is.
I think we all know why.
Yeah,
She's
Cammy
British.
is- Yes, no, Cammy's great. It's
And Kylie Minogue.
Oh,
Kylie
there's
Minogue.
also that. The Kylie Minogue Cammy side of things is also fun, but this is such a. Also, again, just another like home run for Jada, as far as I'm concerned. They know how to do. It's one thing to do female figures. It's another thing entirely to do female figures from a game like Street Fighter, which I think have always been done poorly, unless they've been done by SH Figure Arts, by Bandai, or by Good Smile.
Didn't Hans Cha also get one of them?
I think
Cammy?
he has got a Cammy as well, and she's great.
You guys
It's a great figure to play with. Great.
Turns.
We're Cammy bros. Yeah, we're Cammy bros.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got these locally. I don't know. I think I mentioned.
That is insane.
From the same place I got your Super 7 Joes from, guys.
Oh,
nice.
Love it.
Yeah, they also have a retro carded Beachhead and retro carded Cobra Trooper, if I'm not mistaken, on their site.
The classified line.
Yeah, the classified ones. Yeah.
Have you got a
Mm,
beachhead, Paul?
That's a good
I
one.
do. Yes, and he's wonderful.
Alright.
Oh.
No need for the retro then.
No.
Guess what? You're not getting in the post from Steven soon. Not a beat.
I took the plunge and applied some stickers to my HasLab Sky Striker.
Oh, cool.
Albeit just 6. So
What?
the tail
It's new now.
design, it has to have the
Ooh.
tail design, like the
course.
Sky Striker
That
eagle.
kind of goes without saying.
The thrusters have the intakes have this kind of like signature stripage.
Those
which
sectors,
sweeps. Yeah, that wasn't a paint effect because there's an optional, like more accurate sticker. I think that the 25th anniversary version or the 30th anniversary version had a different sticker, and the HasLab Sky Striker has both, so you can do classic 83 or 2011. And
you
then
put one on one side and one on the other. So when you display it from starboard, it's the one. From port, it's the other.
Yuck. And then
Shame.
the trailing edge, red, white, and blue striping.
How could you not
which-
have put that on already? I mean, that's like classic.
It's just
detail.
not a Sky Striker without it. I don't know, man. I was very trepidatious about putting one fit stickers, one time only stickers onto my HasLab, my expensive jet. But I'm glad I took the plunge because it does enhance it. And also, like, these stickers are incredible. I peeled and reapplied them when I screwed them up. And they don't have bad edging. Like, they went back on perfectly.
That's
The
great.
mileage may vary.
that's a relief.
Maybe there's some magic in these hands. Maybe I got lucky. But yeah, man, I managed to perfect these stickers even after having applied them first time.
Brilliant. Well, from what I can see, they look great. Well done.
Oh, so good. And use the technique that good old Snowcat Ron taught me wise to, of like using your nail to just push the stickers into the grooves.
Yeah, to burnish them.
The grooves,
Well,
yeah.
to
great.
observe molded, like you absolutely cannot see it in.
Yeah, you should totally burnish them.
But
But
try.
they're
You know, it's
all-
also, it's a great tool for that as well, ladies and
Toothpick.
gentlemen. Toothpicks are great, but sometimes toothpicks can have like a harsh edge
Scratch.
and actually scratch the sticker. Ninja Turtle weapons.
Oh,
Ninja
'cause
Oh,
it's
yeah,
Turtle
we
so
all
weapons.
have those.
Yeah, well,
they're
make a
soft.
plan.
Well, they're kind of semi-soft, but they're also very thin. Yeah, I get where
Yes.
you're coming from. Actually,
Yeah,
if
they're
anyone
cool.
experienced
Actually,
in turtle, but specifically
them.
Playmates turtles, or can it be any
Playmates
turtles?
turtles. Well, yeah, but specifically the Playmates turtles. Their weapons, they seem to have something like, here's one now. This is one I use this is Donnie's. This is from the new movie, Donatello.
Uh-huh.
This is his staff with the blade at the end, a sort of, I don't know, Naginata kind of vibe going
He has
for
a
it. Anyway,
blade on his
this
staff.
blade at
Like,
the edge is quite fun.
why do we
Because
even need Leonardo now?
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I use this when I do water slide decals on model kits as well. Like I've actually done exactly what Steven's done now. I've done decals on the wing,
That's
so I had to
wild.
like pass this through
What a great
just to
detail.
soften it a bit.
That's a
It's a
tip,
thing.
guys, from Deadly Panthers
Pro tip.
himself.
So yeah,
Yeah.
or even
Well-
but just use your nail if you don't have the turtle weapons like Steven
Yeah,
said.
for sure. If you have nails, if you haven't bitten your nails to the quick, you can do that too. And
Hi,
you know
Elliot.
what?
It's just letting us all know that the show is over. He's saying goodbye.
He's saying
Well,
goodbye. He's like, I want my daddy back.
I was about to say, I think that's a wrap on our celebration of 1985. 3 episodes.
Who keeps the lights on?
Vehicles, USS Flagg. Who keeps the light on? The Berg Force keeps the lights
The
on.
Berg Force keeps
Thank
the lights
you,
on.
everyone, for keeping
you,
our lights
guys.
on. Always
Yes.
and forever. We
And our
appreciate
signal
every single
clear.
one of you from the first
Oh,
day
they're
to
on the
the
other
last,
side, Ellie.
from now to forever. You
Oh.
you guys are number one in my heart.
Oh.
Yo, Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
3 episodes deep. Next episode, something new. Not
Something
from
like-
1985.
It's not gonna be 95.
Yes.
No.
Gonna get real.
Never gonna
Bye
happen
bye.
again.
Bye bye. Tornado.